Exams are so hard. Students study hours for every single exam. They work hard to memorize dates, figures, content, processes, everything they can just so they can do well on exams. Oftentimes throughout undergrad, students will talk to their friends to say, hey, what strategy works best for you when you're studying for an exam? And then they try to adopt those same strategies. However, what works well for a friend doesn't mean it necessarily works well for you. In fact, science tells us that there are 3 different styles of learners. And in previous videos, I provided memorization techniques for visual and auditory learners. And in this week's video, I'll be providing memorization techniques for the kinesthetic learner. Hey guys, I'm Mike. I'm an organizational behavior professor at the Ted Rogers School of Management. In weekly videos, I leverage my student and professor experience to share novel insights to help you better manage your university life. Now, I generally don't talk about topics learned in the classroom, but learned the hard way throughout uni. So if you are in uni and will be soon, hit subscribe, smash the like, make sure the notification tab's on, and check out my weekly videos. This week's video is going to be on memorization techniques for the kinesthetic learner. What are kinesthetic learners? Well, do you like to mix up studying with exercise? Do you like to skip over those annoying instructions when you're assembling an IKEA piece of furniture? Do you prefer small classes where you're expected to get more involved, or the big ones where you just kind of blend into the background? Well, if you answered yes to any of those questions, you likely are a kinesthetic learner, or at least have some traits of kinesthetic learners. By definition, kinesthetic learners like to receive stimuli via doing it themselves. In other words, they like to learn best by getting their hands dirty and actually getting involved with the particular task. And while there are a variety of tests to actually assess whether you are a kinesthetic learner or not, you probably already know whether you are. And if you are, you probably want to get a little bit more involved with the following memorization tips. Did you know that chewing gum can help you remember stuff? I don't actually have gum in my house. I just thought it would be more effective if I did, but I don't have any gum in my house, so I kind of struggle with that. Not that your dentist would agree, but studies have shown that chewing gum can actually increase memory retention. The idea behind it is that chewing gum contributes to mental alertness, which has a positive impact on your ability to remember content. So when you're entering exam season, run to Costco, get a family pack of gum, but just don't tell your dentist. Holding an object when studying can contribute to memory retention. It's kind of similar to the idea of entering the study zone, where you associate studying and focus with holding a particular object. Alternatively, some people also talk about the notion of fidget spinners or stress balls. Spinning the fidget spinner, squeezing the stress ball allows you to relax when you're studying in a particular area, so you can zero in on exactly what you want to enter your brain, so that it's more likely to stay there. But one pro tip I do have, if your study object is a toy from your childhood, you might want to consider studying in your room alone instead of studying at the library, because, well, you might start getting questions that you don't have a lot of answers to. Exercise is both good for the body and the brain. There's been loads of different studies to suggest when the optimal time to exercise is throughout a study period. Should you do it immediately before? Should you do it in the middle of it to have a little break between study sessions, or immediately after? And there's pros and cons associated with every one of those techniques. Just know that as long as you mix up studying with exercise, with recovery, you'll be good to go. But one pro tip here is don't overexert yourself when you're exercising, because then all of your spare energy will be going into your muscle recovery and thinking about how exhausted you are from that run, rather than how can I put content in my head and actually keep it there. Another effective memorization technique is to build a story about what you're trying to memorize. So say, for example, you're trying to memorize the formula for the potential gravitational energy, okay? So that's PE equals mgh. And what you could do is you could think about a story about how you're conducting physical education, or right, PE, and how that relates to something involving your mother, M, your grandmother, G, and a horse. So your mother and your grandmother could be riding a horse and you're chasing it, conducting this physical exercise. It works for some people. Try it out. Have you ever encountered a smell or sound that takes you back to the first place you ever experienced it? If so, then you will understand that all of your senses contribute to how you memorize content. And it does so by interacting and influencing how you encode ideas and information in your brain. The basis is that sensory stimuli such as touch, sound, and smell all contribute to how we learn on a regular basis, and is heavily associated with the Montessori approach. Now, the Montessori approach has been adopted by a variety of daycares, and used widely as a style of learning that involves sensory overload. The general idea is that the more senses you can involve in the learning process, the more likely you are to learn and memorize that particular content. Now, it's been widely proven that classical music or calming music should be played when you're studying because that helps that thought process based on the part of the brain that's associated with sound. Now, my personal favorite in terms of which 5 senses you should be using is I recommend you don't shower for 2 weeks before an exam period. You'll feel gross, smell gross, look gross, and once all those senses are in action, you'll definitely remember content more. Well, let me know how it goes. Now, my next recommendation is associated with matching information, okay? This is often associated with words or concepts that are difficult to remember, but you connect them with information, you match them with information that you already have locked up, or the memorization pegs locked up in your head. So for example, say you're trying to remember how to spell the word gray. Well, gray in England is different than how they spell gray in America. Gray in England is spelled G-R-E-Y, okay? Gray with an E is for England. England was an E. G-R-A-Y, gray with an A, is how it's spelled in America. So A, America. So gray with an E, England, gray with an A, America. Or how do you spell necessary? Well, necessary has 1 C and 2 S's. One thing you could remember that is a collared shirt. A collared shirt has 1 collar, 1 C, but 2 sleeves, 2 S's. So just connect the word necessary with a collared shirt and you're more likely to remember it. All right, guys, that's it. Those are my memorization techniques for the kinesthetic learner. If you found this video helpful or want to hear more tips on how to make your student life more manageable, hit subscribe, smash the like, make sure the notification tab is on, and check out my video next week. Until then, take care.